Hello friends, James Stevenson back with another Tesla chart I cannot underscore enough. So, 7 years is a long time. What were you doing 7 years ago? Pause for dramatic effect. Well, I got curious to find out how all the automakers have been doing selling cars in the US since 7 years ago. Are they selling more cars? Are they selling less? Let's take a look at them by brand and find out. I will share my screen with you. Let's see here. That brings up the one that has my logo and the Loki Cam on it. So you can see Loki. Let me turn this camera a little bit so you can see his little face here. Let me tilt this camera down a little bit. There he is. Can you believe I was using this camera for almost all the videos? If you go back and watch my older videos, anything I made more than 2 months ago, that's the camera I was using. So I have repurposed it to be the Loki Cam. Here's the full frame Loki Cam. There he is. Okay, back to the desktop. What are we talking about? It's data that I got from Automotive News. So Automotive News has a very strange way of reporting automotive news. So they make articles and they go tweet them with a link, and then you follow the link, and then most of the time you scroll about half a paragraph in and it says you have to subscribe to Automotive News and pay us like $150 a year if you want to read the rest of this article. It's paywalled. I know a lot of people do paywalls, but sometimes it's not paywalled. I can't figure out what the rhyme or reason is to why some small minority of the time you're allowed to scroll down and see all the data. So I just recorded a video about this chart that I made and tweeted out and got a lot of retweets and likes on, including from big accounts like Sawyer Merritt and Holmar's blog, and Pierre Farragut retweeted me this chart, that sort of thing. So that one was available for year-to-date Q3 2022, but when I went back to try to find last year's paywalled, year before paywalled, year before paywalled, year before paywalled, I had to go back to 2015 to find one where the data was actually there. So that's what's on my 2015 tab here. So this is the data that you can find on this. I've got all the links here. So these are all the links I found to all the years. They publish this article every year that tells you what U.S. light vehicle sales were, but they paywall all of these, and then the 2015 one I don't even have the link in here for, but this is the data I grabbed and pasted in here. So I had to go through here and clean this up the same way I had to clean up their 2022 data, because they do dumb stuff like repeating themselves, the same exact data multiple times, or they'll have zeros for something that shouldn't be zeros, or other problems with the data, right? So I have to go through and clean that up. And then over here to the side, I've just got a comparison against the Q3 2022 year-to-date numbers that are here. So I just brought in, okay, for each of these automakers, what was their number in 2015, and if I annualize the year-to-date Q3 number, that is, if I take this number that they're saying is the year-to-date Q3, and then I multiply that by 4/3. Why 4/3? Because there are 4 quarters in a year, and they have only included 3 of them. So if you want to gross this up to make it a full year, by assuming that Q4 will have the average sales they've had per quarter over the first 3 quarters of the year that are included in this number, that's how you gross it up. You multiply it by 4/3. And that's how you get an annualized 2022 number. And then I've got the increase or decrease. So in the case of Stellantis here, in 2015, they sold, as Fiat Chrysler back in 2015, over 2.2 million vehicles, and this year they are only pacing towards delivering 1.6 million because they delivered 1.2 million over the first 3 quarters. So that's an average of 400,000 vehicles per quarter and a little bit of change. So that's how that annualizes up to 1.6. So they're way down. They have lost 650,000 vehicles, or that's what they're pacing towards for this year, unless they have a very strong Q4, a much stronger Q4 than they've had Q1 through Q3, right? So what you want to do with this information is not look at it as numbers in a table, because that's forgettable. It's very easy to forget just numbers that you see in a table. What's hard to forget are images. So these are those numbers that we just saw. So here's Stellantis. Here's that 2,257,728. That was their 2015 sales. And here's that 1.6 million that we just saw as our example. And their story is not unique, right? If you look at the other automakers, and I have sorted them left to right in order of 2015 sales. So GM was selling the most vehicles in the US in 2015 by a lot. It wasn't close. They were up over 3 million. Ford at only 2.6 million. So GM was feeling pretty great back here. But not so much anymore. GM and Ford have both seen their unit sales decline quite a lot. Toyota, not as bad. They're only down from 2.5 to 2.1. They would prefer probably to have maintained or grown that 2.5, but they're compared to the other automakers that were producing, more than 2 million vehicles, they've held their own pretty well here. Honda and Nissan have just collapsed. I mean, look at this Nissan number, 717 against almost 1.5. So they're down to half of the sales. Twice as many people bought a Nissan in 2015 than are likely to buy a Nissan in 2022 in the US. Hyundai Kia doing better. So what's interesting about that is Hyundai Kia is doing a pretty good job building pretty compelling EVs at pretty compelling price points. And Volkswagen, I would say, is also doing their level best to try to sell more EVs. So interesting to see them maintaining pretty well. And yeah, BMW falling some from a already pretty low number, only 400,000 in 2015, down a lot to 335,000 in 2022 is my estimate, or my carried forward trend for the year to date. And then what do we have over here? Well, we have Tesla. What was Tesla's total sales in the full year 2015? It was a tiny number. It was 22,800. That's very small, folks. This year, it's likely to be 456,933 or better. I mean, Tesla's best quarter this year will be Q4, so I would say that's a conservative estimate for where Tesla's going to be this year. The total market for U.S. light vehicles has eroded a lot, and nobody has gained automotive sales anything close to what Tesla has over that time period. And that is the chart that I cannot underscore enough today. So, if you've enjoyed today's video, click the like button. It's free to do so. There's no charge for clicking like or subscribe. The subscribe button's right over here. You can click that. And I know 1/3 of you do not subscribe to my channel. Or if you want to support my channel in some other way, there are links in the video description you can check out, and I will see you in the next one.